Alright, so episodes 4 through 6 of Andor just released, meaning it's time for me to make my weekly recap and give some of my thoughts. I'll start by saying the yearly gaps in between episodes really make me wish Andor had 5 seasons like originally planned. What made me like Andor Season 1 so much was how every little detail is fleshed out, but with Season 2, the pacing is way different. It's more similar to Star Wars Rebels in that there is a time jump in almost every episode. Now, just to make it clear, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Just that it is a major change from the first season, being that they had to basically merge the 4 additional seasons into 12 episodes. I think just like the last season, this new season, when it's all released, is going to be so much better to watch all together rather than just like 3 episodes at a time, because of course it's going to be better to binge a show rather than watch it episode by episode. The first episode begins in Coruscant, where Bix and Cassian are sleeping. They are definitely not each other's exes anymore, and Bix is still having nightmares from Dr. Gorsh's experiment. What's different though is that he is testing on some other dude who I believe is the boy we find out Cassian killed on their last mission, which occurred during the time jump. Bix is frustrated that Cassian killed this guy just because he saw her face, but Cassian did it to protect her. We don't get to know any further context in this, but it can definitely be implied that these two have been on a series of missions during the time jump. We switch to the newest planet introduced in live-action Star Wars, Gorman. It is a walled-in, affluent society whose main product is Gorman Twill, which is an expensive clothing material exclusive to the planet. And I discussed this in the last video about basically how when they were at Krennic's meeting, in the video it kind of showed like the process of Gorman Twill being made, which is basically like these spider webs, and they extract these spider webs and turn it into this clothing material, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, now the question you may be asking is like, who asked? Because, you know, who cares about like clothing material in Star Wars? But I'll tell you why this detail is so important, because the main group of people buying this clothing, this expensive clothing, are the rich. And who holds a lot of influence on galactic politics? The rich. This is why Leo Partagaz says that Gorman will not go down quietly during Krennic's meeting. Gorman has a good amount of political power to fight back against the Empire when this inevitable secret operation goes down, and we'll see how this plays out later in the season. Cyril Karn is on Gorman, and he ties a string to his door to make sure people aren't spying on him. His mother is still making sure to keep touch with him, but obviously expresses her disapproval of his move from Coruscant to Gorman. We are introduced to the Gorman Front, which is Gorman's rebel cell. And they definitely did this on purpose, but this group of rebels reminds me a lot of the French resistance groups during World War II, when the Nazis occupied France. And I really start to think this more and more because, you know, they're all French, and then they always have these secret rebel underground meetings, which is exactly what the French resistance did during World War II. Cyril's invited to one of these meetings by a guy who is posing as a spider vendor, and a cool Easter egg happens as he is arriving to work later that night, and we see the Imperial Guards watching some good old pod racing. If I had to guess, they definitely have money on the big guy Ben Quadinaros winning it all. Bro has been on the come up since the Phantom Menace. Cyril convinces these guards that he left some files in his office, and they just let him in because they don't want to have to deal with the trouble of having to get the files themselves, because they want to keep watching Ben Quadinaros absolutely destroy everybody in the pod race, of course. So he sneaks in, and the real reason that he's actually coming here is to inform Dedra Meero that the Gorman Front invited him to a meeting and like what he should do and all that, right? And this is where we find out that Cyril is a vital part of her plan of eliminating the resistance on the planet. At face value, it may seem like Cyril's trying to be a good guy or whatever who is supporting the rebels, but he is actually trying to set them up. Another thing to take note is that Cyril also has no idea of what the Empire's true intentions are with Gorman. All he knows is that he's trying to wipe out a rebel cell on the planet. He does not know, however, the whole part where the Imperials are actually trying to enact a whole genocide. At the ISB meeting, some familiar faces from last season are present, including Captain Lagret and Lonnie Jung. A new prominent character emerges in this meeting named Supervisor Hirt. He was Dedra's assistant last season, and it seems like he has been promoted since then. I'm guessing since Supervisor Blevin is not at this meeting, that Hirt was promoted to replace him. Lonnie states that the Empire is imprisoning more people than they can even process, and Leo Partagaz agrees, saying it is indeed a serious issue and that he and Colonel Yularen are scheduled to meet Palpatine over it. Supervisor Hirt has taken over the Access investigation that Dedra had been focusing on, since she is now focusing on Gorman. Mon Mothma is locked in on gathering support for the Gormans, as she is trying to convince the Gorman Senator, Dasi Oren, to vote for her bill. He does not want to vote for her bill because he thinks voting against the Emperor would make him a hypocrite, since he told his people to comply with the Empire and avoid doing anything to make things worse. Erskine Samaj, the guy I was talking about in the last video, is still accompanying her as she is trying to farm votes from all these other senators, but none of them are brave enough to vote against the Emperor. Lonnie meets up with Luthen in the same spot as last season and tells Luthen that Dedra is leading the Gorman Project. Luthen is very interested in this and already knows she is conducting a smear campaign against the planet. He tells Lonnie that he needs to know the end goal of her Gorman project. Cyril attends the Gorman Front meeting and their leader, Cairo Rylands, recruits him, asking him to give them insider information on the Empire. He agrees to do this, of course, so he can gain their trust and then set them up. Cassian wakes up thinking Bix is having another nightmare, but she is seeing Luthen's version of the bat signal that is calling for Cassian to meet with them, and that is the flashing light on top of the nearby building. Cassian goes to meet with him, and Luthen tasks him with going to Gorman to assess Carol Rylands and the Gorman Front and basically report back to him on how they're doing and their status and all that, because he doesn't really have that much information about them. Saw Gerrera has a new base that is located in Dakar, which is the same base that the Resistance uses in The Force Awakens and flees from in The Last Jedi. By the way, that is the worst Star Wars movie of all time, if I had to make it clear. It is revealed that Willman has joined Saw's rebel cell and he works for him as an engineer. He built a contraption that can extract Rhydonium from an Imperial pipeline, and has to teach this other guy how to do it. Rhydonium is a highly volatile, highly explosive starship fuel that is extremely dangerous to salvage, let alone breathe in. At the end of the episode, Bix is taking some hardcore drugs late at night, probably to cope with the continuous nightmares she has. Episode 5 begins with Clea on the comms as she is spying on Davos Skolden. She learns that Davos is going to vet all of his artifacts. This is bad because they planted a listening device on one of his artifacts, hence why she is spying on him. And now they have to act and remove it before they are able to vet it. She tells Luthen all of this, and he is furious that she bugged something of Davos without his knowledge. Clea keeps him under control, and they agree that something has to be done to extract it. Cassian gets his new identity for his mission on Gorman, which is Varian Sky. He is pretending to be a fashion designer, and I gotta say, he plays the role well because he is dripped out on Gorman. In his hotel room, the hotel assistant drops some lore that he was there during the first Gorman massacre when Tarkin landed his cruiser on top of 500 Gorman protesters, killing them all. And that is what the monument in the middle of the town is for. It serves as a memorial for all these people who died. Cassian meets with Cara Rylands' daughter, Inza, at a cafe to organize a meeting with her father. He warns her that she and the rest of the Gorman Front need to be careful regarding how they operate. The next day, while he was walking around, he notices the Imperial Armory being built. The catch is, nobody on Palmo actually knows that this is an Imperial Armory that is being built. It is only speculated that it is. Later, he meets with Rylands at his Twillery showroom. Usually at this point, they should be going to a back room or something to discuss what Cassian actually came here to talk about, which is to voice his concerns about the Gorman Front. But instead, he talks about this right where they are. Cassian is aware of this, but Rylands assures him that they frequently sweep for listening devices. He informs him that they have a source on the inside, which is Cyril. Cassian already assumes that this source is feeding them false information, and he is obviously spot on, because Cyril is literally setting them up. It is clear that these rebels are desperate to take action against the Empire, and because of that, refuse to question their quote-unquote reliable Imperial source. Later they meet again, and Rylands questions him on if he's going to bring them reinforcements or not, and Cassian basically tells him that they will not be able to continue hiding from the Empire after they carry out their plan to hijack the Imperial carrier.
You'll be living at the scene of the crime. Worse than that, you're planning to advertise what you've done.
The Gormans are desperate though, and no longer want to tolerate Imperial persecution. Rylands reflects his sentiment and sees it as an insult that Cassian thinks they should prioritize staying hidden. While all this is happening, Luthen meets up with Bix and tells her how he is planning on including her in more missions in the future. He finds the drugs she is using, and Bix basically confirms that she is using them to be able to sleep and basically escape those nightmares that she keeps having. The ISB takes over Cyril's office after learning the place is bugged, and they kick everyone out. It turns out that somebody there is working for the Gorman Front, and they place a listening device somewhere. In learning this, the rebels shut down communications with it so they don't get found out. Cyril comes back to his office being completely ransacked, and reveals to his employees that the ISB found a listening device and that everyone will be interrogated. He meets with Rylands that night and agrees to find data on Imperial transports, which is all a part of Dedra's plan. Later, he secretly travels back to Coruscant to see Dedra, and let's just say they get a little freaky, as she tells him to turn off the lights. I'm assuming the next day, hopefully, Cyril meets with his mother, and once again, he is eating cereal. Of course, well, typical. He gives her a Gorman taxidermied spider that the vendor downtown gave him, and she names it Cyril. She uses this as an opportunity to roast him for lacking common sense. Next, he and Dedra have a secret meeting with Partagaz, and they discuss their plan with him. On Dakar, Willman teaches the other rebel how to operate his Rhydonium extractor machine. It is eventually revealed that this guy is an Imperial spy, and Saw kills him on the spot. He tells everyone that they are leaving and to bring as much as they can with them, since their base is now compromised. I love the sequence of Saw's garrison jumping into hyperspace, as they use the same camera angle on the X-Wing entering hyperspace as they did in Rogue One. Since the spy had set an ambush for them on the Marquez moon pipeline, which they were originally going to target, they end up changing plans and target another pipeline that is far away. Willman now has to extract the Rhydonium, and as he is doing this, Saw explains what happened to him and his fighter group on Onderon. They were imprisoned shortly after the Empire began in the Onderon jungle. Then he describes his first encounter with Rhydonium.
You could feel your skin coming alive. It was the Rhydo. They had a leak. You could feel it before you could smell it. So they all panicked and ran away, but it was new to me.
Willman opens the valve and Saw starts to inhale it with ease. Willman is obviously shocked by seeing this because he is breathing this extremely deadly substance and enjoying it. He has clearly grown an immunity to it over time and additionally probably created an addiction to it. He motivates Willman to embrace the Rhydonium as a sort of initiation to his rebel group.
You think I'm crazy? Yes, I am. Revolution is not for the saying. Look at us. Unloved, hunted, cannon fodder. We'll all be dead before the Republic is back, and yet, here we are. Where are you, boy? You're here! You're not with Luthen, you're here! You're right here, and you're ready to fight!
He trips out from this, and he is definitely past the point of no return in his involvement with Saw Gerrera. Episode 6 begins on Steergard. Yep, the planet where Cassian got his Starpath unit before Season 1, and the planet that the naval soldier told Luthen he was transferring from. Luthen picks up Cassian here and brings him back to Coruscant. He tells Luthen not to get involved with the Gorman Front, but Luthen sees it differently. He wants Cassian to realize that the Gorman Front is important because it is a new front line against the Empire. This scene perfectly describes Luthen and Cassian's conflicting viewpoints.
Doesn't matter to you, does it?
Doesn't matter. Gorman in play. A new front line against the Empire? A chance for that, that's a triumph. You're thinking small, you're thinking like a thief.
I'm thinking like a soldier.
Think like a leader. Think about a planet like Gorman in rebellion. A planet of wealth and status.
Let's recall back to what I said earlier in this video about how Partagaz had said that Gorman would not go down quietly. All these wealthy people who frequently buy clothing that is made from Gorman twill will notice what the Empire is doing to this planet, and more people will question what the Empire is doing. Cassian worries about the cost of rebellion regarding how many people will die, while Luthen sees her sacrifice as necessary in order to grow the rebellion. To Luthen, the rebellion is at a point of no return. So many people have been sacrificed for the cause, and stopping now when they have made so much progress would dishonor those sacrifices. More lives being lost for the cause is just natural at this point, and he no longer takes that into consideration when accounting for the overall benefit.
If it goes up in flames?
It will burn. Very brightly.
Cassian meets Bix back on Coruscant, and she tells him about Luthen visiting earlier, which he gets frustrated about since he never told him about this on the ship. He visits him at his store after hours, violating their whole protocol, and expresses his frustration of this.
I give you everything.
Is this everything? This fury, this lack of control? Violating every protocol we live by? Soft on Gorman, but willing to protect Bix at any cost.
We are not droids, Luthen.
One of the things that Cassian just cannot understand yet about Luthen is that Luthen is not transparent at all about anything, right? He just never tells anybody the whole truth. He just kind of gives them the information that they need to know, and that's it. And he'll do all these other things and never tell them about it, which Cassian's just starting to get fed up about this because he is dedicating his life to this rebel cause, and Luthen's still keeping secrets from him, like trying to recruit Bix to these other missions that he just doesn't know about. And, Cassian's in love with Bix again, and he doesn't want Bix dying in one of the missions. And this pisses him off because, what if Luthen really did send Bix on a mission while he was gone on his mission, and then Bix died or something, and he came back and she wasn't there, right? So, of course, he's going to be frustrated. At the ISB building, Partagaz tasks Hirt and Lonnie with keeping watch of Dr. Gorst, since he has been deemed important enough by the Empire to be expanded into another Imperial program. So now the ISB doesn't have exclusive access to him anymore like they used to, so he wants them to represent the ISB's interest in him at their facility. Lonnie has Hirt take the lead on this task since he needs to be spying on Dedra to learn more about the Gorman project, so for that reason, he can't really focus a lot of attention on this stupid side quest that Partagaz just put him on. Speaking of the Gorman project, Vel and Cinta have both been sent there to organize the Gorman Front's hijacking of the Imperial transport. So what they do is place some EMP charges on the road, and that disables the transport, and they proceed to unload its cargo, bringing it into the tunnel and loading it onto their transport. As this whole operation is playing out, Cyril is posted up, giving active comms to Dedra and Partagaz. As they are unloading the last crates from the transport, one of the dudes who was at the meeting 2 episodes ago gets into an argument with one of the rebels, and a shot is fired. This stray shot ends up hitting Cinta, and it kills her. Cyril reports the shots fired to Partagaz, and he commands him to call the Imperial response team and inform them that he and Dedra are on the way. Vel crashes out at this rebel dude for being the reason for Cinta's death, and he is crying, knowing he has to live with that. Mon Mothma finally gets some more screen time, as I was wondering where the heck she has been this entire arc, as she is reluctantly reciting what I'm guessing is the Imperial Pledge of Allegiance at the Senate Chamber. She and Perrin arrive at Davos Golden's residence for a major party. They see Bail Organa, who I was originally shocked to realize has a new actor for the show. I understand that Jimmy Smits was unable to reprise his role as Bail in the season, but it's not the same having someone else be Bail Organa. I am so used to Smits' Bail Organa, but I guess it's going to take some time to get used to be able to accept this different look for Bail Organa. Luthen and Clea are also at this party because they need to extract that listening device that Clea planted, and this is their plan to basically get it out of there without looking suspicious. And Lonnie, Hirt, and Lagrit are all there, I guess also because the Imperials are invited or something, I'm not sure. But they're here, and Clea takes Lonnie aside to help her look more normal when she tries to remove the listening device. This is a super risky move, as Krennic, Davo, and many witnesses are in the room at the same time. Mon and Luthen are also in this room. Their cover is almost blown as Clea's tool device gets stuck, and she barely gets the listening device out in time, as the group moves over to their artifact. I think it's funny how Krennic is oblivious to the fact that he is surrounded by what you would basically call the founding fathers of the rebellion. At the end of the episode, I thought Bix was having another nightmare or something, but it is actually Dr. Gorst at his new facility. Bix has somehow infiltrated this facility and hooks him up to the same torture device he used on her, exacting her revenge. She walks out of the facility like a total badass, and she casually shoots the guard on her way out. She joins Cassian as he detonates the explosion that I'm guessing she planted in the building, and they walk off. Just like that. I have so many questions about how they managed to find Dr. Gorst, or if this is a time jump, because there is absolutely no context on how this goes down. It simply happens. This is another reason why I really think Andor needed 5 seasons, because stuff like this would have been so much better with some more build-up. Anyways, that's it for episodes 4 through 6. I enjoyed the first 3 episodes a lot more, to be honest, and I think it's because these 3 episodes were more like transition episodes or the middle of the Gorman story arc. Even though a lot happened, I feel like these episodes kind of serve as like a build-up to the next arc, which is going to be a lot more chaotic and conclude this arc, and I think it's going to be crazy. I think next week is going to be absolutely crazy. If I had to make a prediction, I think the Gorman Massacre is going to happen in next week's episodes, and Mon Mothma is going to react to this in a harsh way, and she's going to leave the Empire. And basically what happens, because if you watch Rebels, the Ghost Crew picks her up, which means I guess we're going to see Hera and the Ghost Crew, because I don't know how else that's going to go down, or maybe they'll just be off screen, I don't know. But basically Mon Mothma leaves, and she denounces the Empire after learning of the Gorman Massacre. And, you could tell this is going to happen because in the last episode, and these 3 episodes, Mon Mothma is like clenching her fist at the Senate meeting, and, nobody's listening to her, nobody wants to support Gorman, and once she learns that all these bad things happen on Gorman, yeah, she's going to leave. So I think this is definitely going to happen in the next 3 episodes. It has to. I mean, at the rate it's going, at the pace it's going, I think that's what's going to happen. To say some positive things about these episodes though, I really enjoyed the parts with Saw Gerrera and Willman. In fact, I think that this was the best part of episodes 4 and 5. I also enjoyed the political aspects of these episodes relating to Gorman and the differentiating ways each of these characters is approaching it. Besides that, I don't think there's much more I want to talk about except for the people who make the usual boring and slow complaint about Andor. This show has turned out to be quite the opposite of that, because I feel like at a lot of points this show is going way too fast for me to understand what's going on, and so I really don't understand that argument at this point. But yeah, that's all I got for this video. I want to hear what your thoughts are on the show so far. Is it good? Does it suck? Is it going too fast, or does the pacing work well? Let me know all that in the comment section down below. Also, make sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. This is Narf Boy, saying bye. Bye!